Welcome into the Bitcoin Made Simple podcast. We are here at the Bitcoin Meetup in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we are presented by the Bitbox O2 hardware wallet. Thank you to the Bitbox for sending me down here. There's some swag that's been going around, and they have a bunch of white papers, which people are very happy with because people have asked me if they can take them and give them out to family and friends.
Is that what that is? That's the white paper?
It's a white paper in like a booklet form.
Oh shit, that's kind of cool.
So it's.
I want one.
Yeah,
one.
it's
one of those
badass.
bitches.
There's a bunch more too. So if you need more, it's just I'll give them out. And if anybody wants to buy a Bitbox,
like a pamphlet.
I actually have them, and you can buy one tonight.
Pamphlets.
I love Colts. Colts are so hot right now.
That's a Colt manual.
So, anyways, in the Bitbox, by the way, I know that you're with Cold Card now, guy, but the Bitbox
is the devil.
but Bitbox is pretty sweet, isn't it?
It's okay, I'll give it some points.
As I pointed out to Francesca the last time her and I talked, I said,
Francesca.
I said,
How is she doing?
She's good. She's good. And I said, Guy pointed out that it is probably the only hardware wallet that you can store in your rectum.
Yes. Yes. I have.
I got a big rectum.
My source on this is anonymous.
So you tested it yourself?
No. No comment. No comment.
But it's like the size of a thumb drive, and and it's super easy to use.
Yeah.
Like that's.
Should we have a contest to see who can fit the largest hardware wallet in the rectum?
Jameson Locke needs to do a comparison.
Cold card?
Locke needs to do one of his comparisons on the hardware wallet rectum ability.
Can we do we'll have BTC sessions.
He could tell us the most simple way. The simplest way.
Sessions, give me a keystone.
Can we test out different loops?
Have you tried the cold card queue?
I'm definitely going to need instructions.
Oh, this went sideways real quick.
This is not representative of Raleigh at all.
Yes, it is.
I wonder if BTC Sessions has the camera set up, because when he does it, he's got like the ultimate camera, so it's like, is he going to take us into his bedroom and he has all these cameras
Yeah, I was
set
going to
up?
say, which one? Is it the overhead camera? Like, which one do we use?
Oh my God. So,
I'm gonna DM him that.
I will, yeah. Sorry, BTC Sessions. We just volunteered you to give yourself a prostate exam with a Bitbox O2 hardware, which is the funny thing is, the reason I bring it up is it's like, I brought that up to Francesca, and she's like, we're cool with like any branding, like, it's it doesn't matter if the connotation.
No, they're great.
But yeah, they're super great. So this is my second stop on the Bitcoin Made Simple podcast tour, the meetup tour. And Guy has been singing the praises of the Raleigh meetup since, I've known you now for probably 4 years. And one of the first things you were like, I'm going to the Raleigh meetup tonight. And I was like, you guys meet every week? And you were like, pretty much. Like, you know, you got baby
I
now,
don't keep up with it anymore.
Yeah, you got a baby. So,
But everybody, people are here.
But
and they're wondering why I'm shitting out on it every week.
Hey, it's the kid,
It's the child.
It's the easiest excuse in the world. But yeah, how did you guys were kind of talking pre-show? But how did you guys all get together? Oh, by the way, I should throw this around. I didn't even introduce everyone. Steve, who is the host of the Bitcoin Meetup here in Raleigh, is with us. He's one of the people that was laughing about the the repository that we're taking.
I think it's called a suppository.
Suppository, whatever. I was like, we're in a.
It is a hardware wallet repository.
It's a Bitcoin suppository.
Oh my God, jeez.
It's what you call self-custody, folks.
Yeah, that is the self-custody joke is made by none other than the Shitcoin Insider.
Yes.
Welcome, Shitcoin Insider, to the
Guest
Bitcoin Made Simple
appearance we
podcast.
did not expect.
No, nobody
He
saw
showed up at
that.
the last minute in his green screen suit.
I didn't
and
even know the
mask.
Shitcoin Insider was here in Raleigh, and I've never seen this guy
He's
before.
within driving distance. I've never seen him before either. This is the first time I'm meeting him in person. Granted, I can't see his face because he's in a full anonymous
I
suit.
don't actually exist. I'm not actually here.
He only agreed to come on if we talk about shitcoins. So.
The Shitcoin Insider was AI before it was cool for everybody to be AI.
Now we're all Shitcoin Insiders.
Now it's
wearing
the
a Darth Vader
XRP
mask.
podcast. XRP made simple.
XRP made simple. The real. If you want to make any shitcoin made simple, it's called stealing your money. That's
How to
that's-
scam.
Yeah, how to scam people.
White papers are really short.
Yeah, the real white paper, the one they publicly release, the one they send to their buddies. They're like, "F everyone, we're screwing them over." So you guys were talking a little bit, Steve and Guy. You were talking pre-show, and I'm curious, Shitcoin Insider, your input here. But how did this Raleigh meetup? You said it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, well, Satoshi came to Raleigh, and he came to the bar with like a piece of pizza, a big pizza for everybody, and tried to get us to read his white paper, and we thought he was just a little kind of twerp, so we beat him up. And looking back on that, I felt guilty, and so no. Actually, this meetup was... Oh, actually, I have a call out I want to make. So I think we have the longest meetup posted on meetup.com.
Nice.
So this is it's a challenge to all the other places you go. I mean, I don't know if you will go anywhere else now that you're in Raleigh.
No.
You might just,
You're stuck here now.
and
Just like you've reached the peak
reached the
already.
pinnacle.
Yeah, this
And
is
it's all downhill from
But
here.
this is the ultimate. I mean, because I will say, like, I'm from Pittsburgh. In the Pittsburgh meetup, it's listed, but I don't know how active it is.
Yeah, so if you do go somewhere else, I'd like to see someone's meetup.com page that shows their meetup in 2013. Actual events and the same meetup,
The
same
same one
page.
has survived. Still
Still running.
Longest running, oldest
I haven't
meetup.
talked to everybody, so obviously I
Out
don't know. But
there
I haven't
is
talked to
Bitcoin.
anybody who's got one longer than that.
That's 11 years.
11 years, baby.
Once every Tuesday at 6:30.
Yep.
And you guys.
It was monthly for a little while, but it's always been at least monthly, and it's been weekly for the past like 5 years or so.
Yes.
Well, because
Maybe more, I think. Because I started coming in 2017, and it was weekly then, I think. Well, there was
Yeah.
times when it was really slow because it was moving around.
And then we were having bi-weekly. We had twice a week for a little bit, but anyway.
but these bi-weekly, geez.
Yeah.
We went overboard.
While we're talking about Raleigh, just trying to get more people to move here. Founded by Jameson Lopp and Jeff Garzik. So
This meetup.
big
Oh,
names in
nice.
the space. Also had Crypto Carolina here in 2014, and these guys got in on the Ethereum pre-mine, so it's all their fault.
You guys were the ones on the pre-mine.
Not me.
That's I knew it.
Oh, actually,
Not
I
me.
did.
I knew it.
But yeah, we had
Everybody's gonna
Vitalik
think
here.
it's serious.
I know. Yeah. He's joking, by the way.
Yeah.
So the Bitcoin. I mean, do you like take vacations? Like on a vacation week, like where you're like everybody's like, where is he at? Where's Steve?
Bitcoin's just more important than vacations. The first thing you want to do when you get into Bitcoin is like you want to get rid of the wife, get rid of the family, get rid of the vacations, and you need to dedicate 110% of your energy to Bitcoin.
Yep.
Yeah.
110%.
I really screwed it up.
No, I had vacation here and there, but
You have somebody else man the helm of the ship. While you're
yeah, it still manages to keep going.
And I mean, I'm encouraging people, like, part of what I hope to do is encourage people that listen to get out and get the Bitcoin meetup thing going in their city. And, like, I'm going to try to do that in Pittsburgh. But, like, I was saying in Vegas when I was there, like, I think it's just so important to, like, because we all know something that nobody else understands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you know the biggest secret or the biggest key to life and like not talk about it with other people? Because my wife, like, I handle the finances, and she's like, I love you, but I don't want to hear about it. And so, like,
Yeah, I saw that conversation earlier.
yeah, Steve saw the conversation in person, and it was like, she's like, I give you 5 minutes, and then I'm glazing over. I don't care. So, like, it's just the, like, how do you know the biggest thing in the world and not talk about it with other people? And that's how people, I think, get bored and end up becoming shitcoiners. No offense, Shitcoin Insider.
I'm not a shitcoiner.
No, I know you're not, but so anyways, I mean,
it's a cheat code. I mean, it's a real kind of guilt feeling, isn't it? Like, first of all, you know that you're going to be fine for the rest of life. You know that these other people probably aren't going to be, and you also know that they don't want to hear you try to save them. I mean, it feels like a little religious and a little bit. What do you think, Guy?
No, there's definitely like an element of that, and it's funny because like I forget, I'm still so surrounded by Bitcoiners and shit that I don't think about it a lot. Like I don't have to think about Bitcoin as being like a weird edge thing. And then like when I went to the thing with Robbie the Fire last weekend or whatever, it was like, oh, there's still people who just think that this is just some weird thing over there on the internet and just have no clue what's going on. And I talked to one of the guys like at length for a while, and he was just like, yeah, I've never, like, he asked the most basic questions, and I don't mean it like in an insulting way. Like, of course, you know, from his perspective, he's just never looked into it. But it just hit me that, you know, people are living through all of this inflation shit, and they have no idea that there's just kind of like a way out. Like, and I explicitly told him, I said, you know, I've been on Bitcoin Standard for like at least a number of years now, and everything that comes in, I either convert to Bitcoin or is just already Bitcoin now. Like the overwhelming majority of it is, and I was like, you know, my costs, like everybody like talks about like groceries in dollars have gone from like $200 to $400. But like when I'm measuring everything that I pay out in Bitcoin, the people that I've been paying, the people that work for me, the developers and stuff that we've been building the projects, the amount of Bitcoin I send them keeps going down. Like during that same time, I'm paying them quote unquote less and less of the stuff that I've allocated for this project. So the project is lasting longer, the longer it takes to actually complete. And it's just like, it's weird how much everyone is still, so many people are still just, have no idea that this is a thing that is there, and they just still see it as a silly toy on the internet or something, you know?
yeah, the fact that it, I mean, and I don't talk price on the show, because if you're in Bitcoin for price, then you're in it for the wrong
You mean
reason.
price in pesos?
Yeah,
The price of pesos.
But you know, the fact that it shot up to $73,000, and like there was no bump in like Bitcoin news or traffic, anything. Like, I mean, I've talked to other
Nothing burger. Yeah.
it was just like, I don't know if you saw the same thing, but I've talked to other podcasters where, you know, like at the bull, like our downloads were up here, and then it, you know, goes down because the public, you know, the general people just don't care, I guess. And so I thought, all right, we're going up to all-time highs. We're going to see that uptick again. And it was just kind of like, maybe my show sucks. I don't know. No, it could be that.
No, I listen to your show. The show's great.
It could be that. But I mean, like, I actually don't even promote my episodes on Twitter anymore. And I should probably get on Nostr because I'm just lazy.
Dude, get on Nostr.
But
Get on Nostr.
I have a Nostr. I just am lazy. But like, I even said this to the audience. I was like, I kind of like that this is like our own secret thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even have to post the episode. You guys just listen, and it's like we're like in this secret like deal. But I mean, that's not good for the sponsor, so I should probably do it more. But anyways, the point being is that, you know, it going up to $73,000, and there was nothing. There was no news, and which is also weird. I'm only 5 years in this. This is weird. This is not a normal cycle, right? Like, I mean, the halving was always, you know,
This cycle's different.
yeah, and it's like, and everybody was like calling
It's stretched out. I really think it's just stretched out, and there's no retail hype cycle right now because it just literally just hasn't gone eye-watering nuts yet. And I think it has to pass the all-time high convincingly.
On average, it takes usually at least like 6 to 8 months. We haven't even got that yet. So we're talking about how it's different, but like it always feels dead, and then you're just like, whoa, okay, never mind. Bitcoin is still Bitcoin. It happens every time. Every
It
time
blows your balls off randomly.
Every time it
It's
ever
always
posts.
random. It just like
every time it ever
10
goes
days.
crazy, like
Every cycle's the last cycle.
It is. This is the last one.
This is the last cycle.
This is the last
And
one.
you guys have been in it long enough to know, like that's the common sentiment, right?
The same minor death spiral, the same this is the last cycle, the same
all the same.
the same block size. This is the time the fees aren't gonna work. Everything.
They're
It's
calling
the same
all the-
every fucking time.
What if fees go down?
Oh my god!
What if fees go up?
I know that's a funny thing. Fees were skyrocketing. Everybody's flipping out and panicking, which I was like, "Hey, you made my miner profitable. Thank you." Like my commercial electric.
Oh, I turned my miner. It was warm in my house, and I turned my miners on.
Oh yeah, I was like,
Man, I was like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "Open up the windows, bitch."
this shit is getting real. And but then now the fees are too low, and I literally had a conversation with people that are like I'm working on and building stuff where they were like, I'm worried in the mining world. I'm worried about the fees, and I'm like. Wasn't it like 6 months ago we were worried about how high the fees were and now they're too low? Like, what are we gonna like? It's like you said, it's just always gonna be something.
If you, I recently plotted
Bipolar
fees
like
in-
crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this, but I recently plotted fees in Bitcoin for 10 years. So not fees in dollars, but fees in Bitcoin. And even though it goes up and down, it'll be like 10 Bitcoin a day, and then it'll be like 100 Bitcoin a day. But for 10 years, you'll see that oscillation is actually pretty flat at around like 50 to 60 Bitcoin a day in fees ever since like 2010.
Oh wow!
Just
Really?
look at it. Just plot fees in Bitcoin for 10 years. And
Is this on
and
UTXO.live?
click log scale. Oh, you mean the greatest Bitcoin
Visualizer?
map visualization in existence?
Yes.
UTXO.live? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes. I have number 21. Is it 21 that I have?
Oh,
or
yeah.
17?
You got the email.
I got one of the first ones. I'm very proud of that. I haven't put it up in my studio yet because I don't have one. But
Somebody told me my website crashed today, so I don't know if everyone should go see it. But,
Let's make sure it's not crashed before.
yeah, make sure it's not crashed.
Before I put the episode.
This chart with the fees is not on there. I just posted it on Twitter or whatever. But yeah, plot fees in BTC and click on 10 years and click log scale, and you'll see it's actually pretty flat. Even though it's pretty volatile between like 10 and 100 Bitcoin per day,
yeah,
it actually looks like it's averaging out around 50 to 60 Bitcoin per day.
that's crazy.
That is really, actually, incredibly valuable information.
But
Just like I said,
if you talk about it in dollars, of course it's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Well, I mean, we were
Pesos, I mean, U.S. pesos.
Bob Burnett, ORF session says Canadian moose shekels, but the Bob Burnett from Barefoot Mining, friend of the show, him and I are working on stuff together, and that's one of the things is trying to map out what are fees going to look like. And
They're going to be 60 Bitcoin per day.
I'm talking to him in the morning, and I cannot wait to tell him
I'll send
about
you,
this
I'll
chart.
send you this chart.
He's going to be quite happy.
I'm gonna look at. I'm gonna actually use this to compare it to something else that I'm using as a model, and I'm doing a guys take very soon on this, because there are like a couple of like things that I feel like some Bitcoiners, I feel like generally we don't as this group, because we like to talk about like shit that's rough, like the hard truths, but talking about, I had a model for thinking, especially if Bitcoin replaces real estate largely as the dominant kind of store of value for the middle class, which real estate has kind of become globally the middle class savings account. If Bitcoin takes that role, I actually think it makes sense when you look at the number of housing, and I'm going to go in this a little bit more in depth with just the rough back of the napkin math that I did. But if you look at the number of housing exchanges, like contracts that are signed every single year, just across the globe, then compare it to Bitcoin transactions, I think it's actually not out of the question that a normal Bitcoin fee is actually comparable to the closing costs. The closing costs of a housing contract.
Wow.
Because if you're using it as your main equity store, people are willing to pay $5,000 closing costs to get that house because they know they're going to be holding it for this amount of time. And then when you're able to leverage that for your own network in ARC or for your payments. Like I think we'll have a lot of credit instruments that are based on collateralized Bitcoin just for payments, and then settle in groups. Because I think every UTXO, when you look at 10 years out, every UTXO is a network. Like there's thousands of transactions happening inside of every UTXO. Necessarily.
But there's so much work that goes into the closing. I mean, I don't want to do the like labor value of money thing, but I was just thinking about closing costs and amount of closings. Do you think there are 5 house closings per second? I was
No,
thinking about the rate.
so what I did is I used the numbers in the U.S. Specifically, and I applied them globally to the global population, projecting out that in 8 years we would hope or expect that poverty would continue to decrease to the point that this would become more and more common. Like we should expect 2 billion people to enter into this sort of market. So that if we use the U.S. as the standard for real estate transactions, yes. Like,
Did you see how many real estate transactions there were like per day?
Yeah. I don't have it off the top of my head, but that I did the back of the napkin math to compare to Bitcoin.
Oh wow!
So it's comparable. And that's actually a great point. And I'm like about to bring you guys on the cap table for something, because like you guys are just giving me these like points where the conversations I've been having with people, like, will fees ever get there? And it's like, you know, people are like, who would ever spend $5,000 to transfer a Bitcoin? And it's like, wait a minute, duh. Like,
Who spends $5,000 to do a house?
Yeah. Like,
and why? Because you
like,
know in 5 years that house is going to be worth more. You can borrow against it. It's your foundation for what your value is, except that it costs an enormous amount of maintenance. It's a huge upkeep. It's like a giant pain in the ass. Bitcoin, in exchange for that, is like twice the deal to do that with Bitcoin than it is with a house.
And you don't have to, you don't have the upkeep. You just put it in cold storage on your Bitbox O2 hardware wallet, and go to bitbox.swiss/Bitcoin Made Simple. Use promo code Bitcoin Made Simple to get 5% off. And if you're here at the meetup or any of the meetups,
can you do the side effects of Bitbox real quick?
the side effect
may cause rectal itching,
may cause rectal bleeding, anal fissures, and. But and if you're here at the meetup, you can get a Bitbox for better than 5% off. But anyways, I digress. Where were we? We were talking about you have it on your cold storage, and like you were talking about with the work and the labor cost, and the world should be transitioning the labor cost to the miners, my lovely workers. I love getting into Bitcoin mining as a business is the best decision in the world, because they work 24/7.
You can't be fired.
Yeah, and they don't complain. Maybe 5%
That is
of
legit. You can't be fired. That's serious. If you can find a good energy source. I've been thinking about, I read about a setup recently, because I've got the miner plugged into my ducting. So this past winter, we heated the house with the miner. And then I had the one downstairs in the basement. But I haven't run either of them for a while, because it's hot as that shit out of here. It's North Carolina. I was reading about somebody's setup recently who had solar panels, and they basically would run to a backup battery, and then they had a pretty simple setup that just that offloaded it directly into the miners, and he just had it ported outside or whatnot, and he was just churning in just a little bit every single day. And I'm just like, I should probably buy some damn solar panels, get them on low cost cheap debt, get a government subsidy to do it, and then just pump all that into my Bitcoin miners, man.
I thought about that too.
the sailor strategy.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot of panels to power even a single ASIC.
Yeah. I mean, if you do the one on low power, like my What's Miner on low power is like, I think 2,800 watts or something like that.
That's a lot of panels, though.
No, that's a lot of panels. That's
like a
lot of
house
solar
load.
panels.
It's like,
Well, I mean, it
like
would
at least
be something
14
that
or
would
15 panels.
Charge
Good
up
panels.
during the day,
Good panels?
and then just offload the amount that the miner can do, that we can do to the miner. So it would kind of build it up for a while, and then just offload that like kind of excess charge before building up the next day again. So it's not like it would run like an hour a day or something, maybe 30 minutes.
One of my buddies in Durham, I was at his house recently. He had like 6 panels. I was like, "Are you mining with that?" He's like, "Yeah, let me show you." We go back in the shed, and I'm like looking forward to seeing like some mining equipment. He had like 3 pies, and it was like 6 big panels.
Oh my god!
He's like, "Yeah, it powers these." I'm like, "Whoa."
Maybe I should just do it to the gas generator.
Yeah, it's not a lot of power.
You guys, and I'm not making a VC pitch here, but I will talk about it more offline. The natural gas in Pennsylvania, that's what I'm focusing on full time. It comes straight out of the ground. It's a field that nobody knows where it is. Like it feels like Breaking Bad level. Like nobody knows where you are. And I thought this is really funny because I'm like, I think from the big guy upstairs, it's humbling the shit out of me. Because I was in the movie business, and it was all like, "Oh, look how great I am! Look how wonderful I am! You know, I'm in Hollywood." And now I've gotten to the point where I was like, I'm standing in the middle of a field in Pennsylvania that no one knows I'm here. Like, this is as humbling as it gets. Like, nobody, like, I can't even explain to people in my life what it is I would do for a living. Like, be like, yeah, I take natural gas, put it in generators, and then run Bitcoin miners off of it. And they're like, whoa. How does a Bitcoin get mined? It's like, well, we're so far away from having a conversation.
Well, why don't you sit down?
Yeah.
I'll get a drink, and then we can start into this. Do you have 5 hours?
Yeah. Do you have till sunup to talk about this? Because I do. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many energy sources, but I love that idea of the transfer of wealth. Who's going to pay that $5,000 fee? Only way you do it for your house. That's brilliant. You should start a podcast and talk about that.
I should do a podcast.
You ever thought about it?
I'll do another one. I have thought about it. I've considered it.
How many do you have now?
3. Well, 4 with Shitcoin Insider. We just so infrequently do it that I don't call it a regular one. But it's gonna make its way into the Bitcoin Audible feed. It doesn't need its own feed anymore. It just needs a special little place inside of Bitcoin Audible.
Do you miss the tent in the basement?
I do miss the tent. I do miss the tent sometimes. It did get hot in there after like 3 or 4 hours because I'm like breathing and the blanket is like hanging over me.
The blankie for it?
The blankie for it. And it would get kind of hot in there after like 3 or 4 hours because I'm just like, I'm circulating my own air, and I'll have to just like fan the tent.
You couldn't even breathe anymore.
Is that what you're going to tell your kids?
I got picture and video record. I've got proof that that's how this all started.
So
it was a closet, and then it was a blankie for it, and then it was a closet again, and now it's a big giant cement basement.
Nice.
One day I'm gonna have a studio.
One day.
I keep telling myself that recently my hockey podcast that I mean nobody in Bitcoin gives a shit about the Pittsburgh Penguins, so I'm not plugging it. But
go Pens!
Yeah, go Pens! There we go. But I keep saying I'm gonna have a studio because I do it in my home office, and you know it runs into problems. And my son crashed it the other day, like just as in the middle of it. There's like 3 of us on there. I see him walk in the back. And he just walks up to me. He goes, "I have to poop." I said, "Okay, go for it." And he was like, and then like he left.
Right now, do you want to do it on the mic?
Yeah, he was like, "All right," and he just left. And I was like, "That's some big news, breaking news. He's got to poop." Like
that is primo podcasting material right there.
Yes.
Those are the moments that you clip and you put on social.
I have to poop. I was just like,
I have to poop.
Because I was like, oh no, he's gonna ask for like a snack. Who knows? Like, my wife was at
Lean
the store.
into the mic.
You know,
I got a dookie.
I got a big one brewing. The best part is I said, make sure your brother's there to take care of it. I'm not coming out to clean up anything, nothing. So anyways, yeah, I'll get a studio someday too. One of these days.
One day we'll upgrade.
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
upgrade.
upgrade. You'll have. I mean, this place will have a studio on top of it.
Yeah, I'm upgrading. I got the upstairs basement. Have you been to the upstairs basement?
I haven't been up there.
Oh, I got to show
Is
you
it
after the
cool?
show.
It is kind
Yeah.
of
You
like
gotta
an
show it
upstairs
to me.
basement.
Yeah, upstairs basement.
But you could turn that into a studio real quick.
It's coming along.
It's coming along.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So, do you want to talk about this place at all?
Sure, yeah. If you're in the Raleigh area or you come to Raleigh, come to Crafty Beer, Wine, and Spirits in neighborhood of Raleigh called 5 Points. It's a cool spot, and
It's
got
legit.
a
This is where we
long
started.
Bitcoin history.
This is where we started.
So
like
you
this
bought
is the
the
one.
place that you started at.
Yeah, I did end up buying this from the previous owner, but the funny story, I came here originally for a Bitcoin Meetup. So I was just looking for Bitcoin meetups in town, and the previous owner here had one. I think this was back in 2017. So first came here in 2017, fell in love with the place, became a regular, started working here, and eventually she sold it to me. So, yep, it's a Bitcoiner's bar here. But
Can you pay in Bitcoin?
we right now you can tip the bartender in Bitcoin, and you can get gift cards for Crafty in Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Nice.
Like integrating it into the actual POS is a lot more trouble than people think, because bars have to start tabs for people.
Yep.
So how do you start a tab for somebody in Bitcoin?
Yeah.
And how do you separate the tip from the regular amount so that the bartender gets the tip? How do you convert some of that tip to dollar? Like
Basically, all of that
people-
relies on pull system.
Yeah, it all relies on the pool system. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there's the misconception out there that it's easy for businesses to accept Bitcoin, and the owner just needs to be convinced.
Yep.
It's not easy.
Nope.
There's a lot of difficulties that, to be honest, most Bitcoiners don't want to hear about. But there's a lot of roadblocks still out there.
We've been talking with a restaurant, a guy who owns a restaurant back in our hometown, actually. And he's super into Bitcoin, and it's cool. He came from somewhere in the Middle East. I forget exactly. My brother meets and they chat quite a bit. So he's like really been on board with Bitcoin and stuff. And his problem has been getting a good point of sale system that will take Bitcoin and integrate with his inventory system.
Right.
Because there's not good cross communication,
Exactly.
so that he knows when things have left. Like things are counted properly.
Yeah, it's
like
just-
he can accept it, just like punch it in, like, oh yeah, here's $12. But
Yeah.
he has two other systems that need to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And he needs to figure out how to integrate it. And he's like, this is where my limitation is.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. There's a lot of pieces.
Also, one thing that people don't seem to ask is like, if this problem was easy, don't you think Square
Would have fixed it. Yeah.
would have integrated
Yeah.
Bitcoin already? Like, this problem is obviously very hard if Square hasn't been able to do it yet.
Well, and I mean, what was it, 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, or whatever, when Jack Mallers came out, you know, at the Bitcoin conference, said you're going to be able to, at every POS, you're going to be able to do it, and it's like,
Love you, Jack.
yeah, I love you. Like, I'm not giving you a hard time, Jack. I'm just saying, like, to reiterate your point, like how difficult it is to actually integrate it.
Yeah.
And I will give a shout out to Pierre Corbin, if anyone knows, he's the filmmaker that did the Rise of Bitcoin, the Great Reset and the Rise of Bitcoin.
Rise of Bitcoin.
No, not that one.
Not that one?
That one's the Pittsburgh guy that I was telling you about earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, the Great Reset and the Rise of Bitcoin, he did during COVID, which was like really he did it on his own.
Oh, wow.
But I'm working on a film with him. But anyways, beside the point, he's a coder, and he helped set up Movies Plus to accept Bitcoin in a subscription system. And it's called Pay with Flash. It does it on Lightning.
Oh, yeah, somebody told me about that.
Yeah, Pay with Flash. It's pretty.
That might work for a bar, maybe.
He would have to like literally. It would be like probably months of coding. You know what I mean? Like it's not a simple problem to solve. But he was like, "Dude, can I do this with your streaming platform?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" You know what I mean? And I mean, it took him months, but like it works because he was like, "Nothing like this exists to set up a recurring subscription in Bitcoin." You know, based on the current price, like you know, it's like, oh, if you sign up for Movies Plus at $5.99 in Bitcoin, back in 2011,
Yeah.
and it was still giving me the same amount of Bitcoin, I'd be thrilled.
You'd have to transfer a lot of Bitcoin in there, and it'd have to be like custodial, but it would work. And I've thought of a similar thing for a bar where they just transferred a certain amount, and then it was custodial on my end, and I just took money out of that as you went. But
It's like you said, it's super complicated, and
I really think that the thing that we miss is there's a lot of Bitcoiners who build in isolation, who build what. I mean, obviously, there's a huge value in building what you need, but I think we have missed. Like, I really think the solution to this is to sit down with somebody who has a bar and say, like, what inventory system are you using? How do you accept payment? And
that
what needs to
inventory
be
system
built?
is likely not open source, so it's not likely.
You can probably just use an API though. Like, it would probably be something where you have an API to integrate with some app.
Maybe there's no API for my inventory system here.
There isn't.
There's
Oh,
an
shit.
API for certain things, but not for. Well, maybe you could finagle the online ordering thing. Maybe.
Yeah. But I think it needs like a very targeted, like, okay, this is your system as a bar or as a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
What would we need to build and what pieces would we need to make this work seamlessly with you?
Yeah.
And then suddenly that applies to 100,000 other businesses, you know? Like, and then you go to somebody else who has a different setup or a different set of tools and you do it again.
So there's some open source point of sale systems. I'd recommend anyone listening to don't try to integrate with a proprietary software. Just start with some of the good open source point of sale systems and just go for that. But another thing I think that I suspect this, I'm curious to know you guys' opinion on this. I think the reason that Square hasn't done this is a tax thing. I think because every time you spend Bitcoin, it's technically a capital gains event. I think the point of sale systems are worried that the government is going to come after the point of sale system for not KYCing the customers who are spending.
I didn't think about the KYC.
If it's a certain amount, if it's a little amount, they don't care. But actually not KYC, it's AML. So AML, any aggregate spending over $10,000, you have to KYC, and that includes Bitcoin. So if Walmart were to accept Bitcoin, AML would be all after them for that, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I was thinking more of it from the business side of having to deal with. Granted, I guess if they just
I don't know if
convert
it'd
it
be
into
the point of sale system or the business that would be liable. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of goes to. I remember after Jack gave that presentation, that recorded a podcast in my hotel room with a couple of Bitcoiners I just met that day, as happens at a Bitcoin conference, and I was like, I love the idea. Like Jack said something like, I'm gonna go into the store, buy something with Bitcoin that I just mined on my miner at home through my Raspberry Pi, you know what I mean? And it's like with no permission. And I was like, I love that sentiment, but I feel like the regulating bodies are so far away from letting that happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would love to be able to sure, I have a miner that's just filling a wallet for me and I can go pay non-KYC.
Yeah.
But I just feel like we're so far removed from that. Like, it's going to take a while.
I think part of it has to start small and then succeed. Like I'm not 100% sure if we can break into the stuff that's already big and already corporate and already regulated.
Yeah.
I think it has to start from the people who aren't in that succeeding to the point that they have some sort of a pull to essentially get around it, because we've already built this structure. We've already built the infrastructure, the payment systems and everything that don't need them. And all the point of sale systems right now in Bitcoin, or at least all the ones that I've used, are very I've got a kiosk at the Bitcoin conference and I need to sell some stuff and I just take Bitcoin directly.
Yeah.
That's where they work. That's where they work. And then when you're talking about a fiat business to integrate Bitcoin, that's where you just start getting headache on top of headache, and it's just why am I doing this?
Yeah, also most businesses that accept Bitcoin, I imagine, intentionally keep it off the books. So it's like these people like Zaprite and whatever that are like trying to make the QuickBooks for Bitcoin and Bitcoin accounting software and stuff like that. It's like I don't know if I don't know if this business wants Zaprite knowing how much Bitcoin they got.
Yeah.
I don't want to put QuickBooks online. I don't want to put my Bitcoin on QuickBooks online.
Yeah. No, there's actually something there.
There's that.
No, I kind of agree, especially with the stuff recently. Like, there's a recent article which got me to go back and read Lop's How to Defend Against the $5 Renter Attack article from like 2 years ago, 5 years ago, some shit like that. But there's like organized international gangs now that target people with leaked information that have account balances and stuff, and they've literally been doing like across the United States, and like literally Raleigh, Durham came up as like a place that like people got attacked.
Yeah.
No, not even Jameson. There was an elderly couple. That got held at gunpoint in their house and tortured until they gave up their keys. The guy or whatever had keys.
Was that you, Shitcoin Insider?
That was.
You torture those old people?
Yes. You know about this?
No, definitely not.
No, about apparently this like pretty organized like setups that are actually targeting and doing this as a thing, and like 80% of them or something are successful. Like
they're gonna have a hard time coming after me.
Paid off.
I got my multi-sig. I got my wallet stored all over. Oh, you gotta take me to Umstead Park.
My multi-sigs are getting crazy now.
Oh yeah.
I love it. Nunchuck made it easy.
I love how hard it is for me to send a Bitcoin transaction.
I love it.
It's so hard.
I have a business account, but outside of that, it's not easy.
I got a little stuff on my phone, but if I'm going to send something big, like I literally have to go across town and like multiple places where there's security and get stuff out of sign with
That's awesome.
I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I felt like I was like too crazy.
No, I'm a little paranoid now.
People were like, "Can you send me, like send Bitcoin?" And I was like even like I have Bitboxes that if anyone wants to buy one, I can sell it to them. And Bitbox was like, "Just accept it in Bitcoin, and we'll settle on ours." And then I was like, I don't even know if any of my any hardware wallets or any hot wallet is active anymore. Like I don't know. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know. Do I have a balance on anything? Like I gotta double check. Like I'm sure I have random ones with like $20-$30 here and there, spread them out. But
cool. I kind of like not knowing my exact amount, because then I can, when people are like, "Oh, how much Bitcoin do you have?" I can generally say, "Actually, I don't know."
I have no idea.
I got some on some wallet somewhere. I haven't checked it.
Yeah.
I just always say not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Remember when people used to ask that at meetups? For in the early days, the first time, people
How
were
much
Bitcoin you got?
How many
How much
Bitcoin
Bitcoin
you
you got? Like people would literally just walk in and ask that right away. It's cool how that's changed.
So you just ask them how much in their savings account.
Yeah,
Like, that's what
Do you
one of the guys
masturbate
that
in the
comes here, Mark,
shower?
does that. A couple people have, A couple people
Do you
have asked,
really go through that much conditioning?
stick a hardware wallet up your butt.
Where do you keep your hardware wallet?
I love the fact that nobody talks about like how much Bitcoin they have, and that I wasn't around back then in 2017, when that was probably pretty prevalent. I think with my kids, I joke and say this is my goal for them to grieve whenever I die, is I want to set up like a national treasure level,
Yes.
tour for them to go on to recover the Bitcoin I set aside for them, so that by the time
It's going to be hard enough for them just to deal with the words.
Yeah. So like by the time it gets to like
The fifth word
like the
is the
second
13th
month that they're on this
on the line 2.
when they get to like month 2 of trying to figure out Dad's puzzle,
The
they're
back
like,
of the
"You know
Declaration
what?
of Independence."
I'm glad that son of a bitch is dead. Like it's on the, So how did he get his seed words on the back of the Declaration of Independence? Like
No, I got a question for you guys. I don't know if you want to answer it. It's a little personal. If you want to answer, it's fine. But you're all married. I used to be married. Do your wives know how much Bitcoin you have?
Oh, I don't know how much Bitcoin I have.
Okay, no.
I mean, she has a ballpark idea.
And then,
Ballpark. That's
Okay.
ballpark.
Interesting.
Yeah, but
Just curious. Because that's also.
She could get to all of it. I mean, we'd go over it to try to make sure that like it could be gotten to if something happened to me, but it would not be fun. And it would not be fast either.
No,
So.
it's not going to pay for the funeral services. I'll tell you that one. It's like
The funeral will be long over before we finally get access.
I have a plan in place for you to figure this out, and it'll help her grieve too because she'll be
may or
MF
may
of me.
not be a 6-month time lock
One
involved.
thing that we've talked about before that I think people don't consider in this situation is that I have it on good authority that Bitcoin is accepted in the afterlife. So if you're
snap.
planning on giving your
This is
Bitcoin
fantastic
away
news.
to your family, you might want to reconsider because like you might not be able to get real estate in heaven if you don't die with some coins.
You should at least keep like a side wallet.
Yeah.
You know, like
Right.
a backup wallet in case.
Yeah.
In case heaven only takes sats.
You get to the gates in St. Peter's and there it's like, all right, it's 2,100 sats to get in, and you're like, I left them all on Earth.
All those shitcoiners are going to hell.
Yeah.
I mean, to be
21,000 for the ghetto.
Being a shitcoiner is
210,000 for
hell.
middle
Yeah.
class.
It's actually not accepted publicly in heaven, but there's kind of like a black market. And
That's
so,
where the
like,
good shit is.
Yeah, to get the good shit in heaven, you have to have
That's where,
Bitcoin.
like,
Good
I mean,
stuff.
it's not
If you want to
accepted.
sin in heaven, you gotta go to the black market.
God's getting kind of mad because he can't confiscate it.
That's where the fallen angels
Where do
are.
I get my dust? My
You know-
magic dust.
God's
I'm gonna
my
say
heaven
something.
dust.
I'm gonna go into Revelation and look at like the war in heaven where he talks about that, and all of a sudden decipher somehow that Bitcoin was involved.
Bitcoin was there.
Like,
So
so
seven
like there was a black market,
Time
and
is
it
a
was
circle.
and there were a bunch of fallen angels. They became fallen angels because they were using Bitcoin on the black market in heaven. Like, boom, there we go.
You son of a bitch, just drugs and porn.
And there'll be so many people that go, "Oh, here you go. You're bringing religion into Bitcoin." Oh, of course.
And Jesus is all
It's,
confused.
what
Because
is
it's
it?
like
Is it-
flipping the money changer tables. But, he's like, but wait, this is good money.
Was it 144,000
Bitcoin?
chosen? I can't remember.
This is the fair money.
In Revelations, I think it was 144,000 chosen ones. That'd be 1,000 days of Bitcoin mining at the last, or no, 1,000 blocks of Bitcoin. 144 per day, 144,000 chosen ones in heaven. So it's 1,000 blocks. Those are the chosen
Maybe the
ones.
blocks are the
Oh,
only things
yeah.
that make it in.
I like it.
I mean, I
I
tell
feel
people
that
that
there's something here.
yeah.
This is a not fleshed out enough theory.
And they said, didn't they say
Not
this is
enough.
1,000
Someone needs
years?
to write a
Wait,
book
they said
or
that
start
the,
a
that the devil would
podcast.
reign for 1,000 years.
There's all this inheritance stuff.
And there's
They never talk
144,000
about
chosen
this,
ones.
John.
That's one block per day.
heaven?
Okay. Yeah. I'll talk to you
One
later.
block per day while Satan reigns. 144,000 blocks.
So whenever all the
144
blocks are processed,
Maybe that's
then
when the end of times is. Maybe it's the last 144,000 blocks. And then
that
that's
goes
it.
into
That's the end of the world.
My favorite
It's the end of the
theory
world.
is that Satoshi is from the future.
Well, he'd be like God, I guess, because in this theory, like, Jesus comes down like 1,000 days before the Bitcoin block end.
Yeah.
And that's
My
when it
favorite
ends.
theory is that Satoshi is just a dude on the cypherpunk mailing list, and he invented Bitcoin, and then he left.
And he was like, "Oh
That's my
shit."
favorite theory.
Well, this is if I would do the same thing because I'm the type of person that like I would start something, get something going, and be like, "Oh my god, they're gonna kill me." They're gonna kill me. Like, like if you're Satoshi, or
Paranoia went off the charts.
something- like
And it's just like, and everybody's bitching at you. That's like one of the funny things is you go back and like read the forums or whatnot. Is while Satoshi was here, Satoshi was just like a dude, you know, and everybody was just like, this is a stupid decision, and they would argue, and everybody would like bitch, just like we would with developers
Right.
today.
He
Be
was
like, you're
like-
an idiot. You have no idea what you're talking about, Luke Jr. Luke Dasher, you're a moron. And it's just like, he doesn't even, he believes masturbation is the devil or something. What a weirdo. And like they was like that's how it was with Satoshi, and then he leaves, and it's just like, oh, he's a god. He's an alien. It's definitely an alien.
Well, but think about that, because people go like, "Oh God, I wish it was Satoshi. I'd have all that Bitcoin." Think about it for a second. If you really were Satoshi, how uncomfortable you'd feel, like how secure.
It would be nerve wracking.
You'd for the rest of your life be looking over your shoulder. Because you'd have to think, knowing your knowledge of computer science, you're like, man, there's probably somebody that can
Somebody
follow me.
knows. The NSA knows. Somebody knows who I am, and if I do say or pop up at the wrong time, that might be
Also,
it.
like, if you look at the history of geniuses, I'm talking about like real geniuses, not Elon Musk. If you look at like Tesla, Da Vinci, you know, a lot of philosophers, like these guys just leave money on the table.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
they'll be inherited $1 million from their parents. They'll just give it to their sister. Like these geniuses typically don't care about
And
money.
genius is also.
I think it probably has something to do with motivation. Is that the people who accomplish stuff that's really like out of this world crazy
Yeah.
aren't motivated by
They aren't
money
motivated
because
by
they're
money.
motivated by the thing that they're creating.
They're like their ideas.
Something is so fascinating to them that they can't. That money is just kind of like a side thing.
It gets in the way.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, because like I think about that with when it comes to human history, all the different things that when you look like, oh, why did we go with Edison and not Tesla? Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
You know, why did we get rid of this fully functioning railroad system that offered affordable and cheap and reasonable travel?
Yeah.
Like, in lieu of airplanes, which, by the way, I thought about this when I flew out to Vegas for the Bitcoin meetup out there. I was like, because I've had that in my mind, and I'm like, so we haven't improved, like, we went to a worse system, in theory, because trains actually would probably be a better form of travel, instead of getting on airplanes, going through all that security, all that bullshit. But then I'm walking in the airport, and I'm thinking to myself, and I've had that thought for a couple months now, and then I'm thinking about it as I walk in the airport, and I'm like, air travel has been around in mainstream for what, 60 years, and it hasn't gotten better. Like, what a
be able to
fiat
like
thing.
smoke cigarettes with
Yeah, it's
like
gotten-
smoking hot stewardess,
Right.
like shag carpet. And
What
stuff.
happened?
It's
Like,
gotten effectively
it's
worse.
gotten
which,
worse, man.
Like, it's fiat. Like,
Dude, look at regulation. Regulation did it to the trains. The big thing was subsidies. It was subsidies. We subsidized the absolute shit out of cars and roads. And it made it basically a non-issue that you had to get. The road network just became the network. And then outside of that, the only way out of it was airplanes. And when they started creating the airport system, it worked and it exploded and it progressed extremely quickly. Before it became so important that it just got drowned. It just got captured and then drowned in regulation. And now it's just like this crazy psycho security theater thing. It's just like an extension of NSA and Homeland Security in some weird like amalgamation entity.
and it's a great example of how fiat like screws everything up.
Yeah.
Like and I mean,
And then
like,
we could go back because we already gave up all the trains thinking that we were going to something better.
yeah. Like like you said, the planes were better in the 70s, and it's gotten worse.
I
Yeah.
flew on a NASA jet with shag carpet, 70s style.
You didn't.
It was beautiful.
You didn't.
I used to work there.
No, I know you did, but
You worked
Yeah,
at
dude.
NASA.
did you have was there a NASA
I was
jet
in this
with shag
leadership
carpet?
program in some boondoggle. They flew us
You're full
on
of
like
shit.
the
Really?
astronauts jet. Swear to God, the white leather seats, brown shag carpet, straight from the 70s. It's awesome.
I love shag carpet.
It was
I need
great.
more shag carpet in my life.
Everyone needs more shag.
What happened to shag carpet?
Screw this trend
Did it
of
just all
tile
get dirty and they
floors.
ripped it up?
Yeah, man. I was just thinking like how hard it would be to clean.
Did it just clog all the vacuum cleaners and then they stopped?
They got so
It
sick of
worked as
replacing.
long as the two generations of vacuum cleaners.
They got so sick of replacing their vacuum cleaners. They're like, we gotta get rid of this carpet. Like,
My dog is peeing on this shit and I cannot clean it.
So anyway, getting back to your point is that we need more government and we need government to make better regulations.
Yes, we need government to make We need to
Everything.
make an airline improvement security agency that fixes the TSA, and that's their
Yes.
job. They create committees and they figure out how they can fix the TSA
That's
so
right.
that airlines are better.
I
More
like going
committees.
and I like going through the frying machine, like the cancer speeding up process.
Yes.
where they're like, hey, can you stand in this awkward pose?
I try to get zapped at least twice a day.
Yeah, they're like, we just want to run you through a quick microwave. No big deal. not for any other reason. Like Bill Burr has a great skit on it where he's like,
Just so that we can see your balls.
yeah. Do you ever do this? I
How are your balls? Do
I
you
try
have
to
something
get out
behind your balls?
I try to get out as quick as possible because I want to see the scan
Is there a
on the
weapon
other
behind
side.
there?
Like I want to see them. I'm like, does it come through or does it look like a Tic Tac? Like I don't.
Oh man, I
let's
need to
do the
work
card
out. I need to work out really
I was
bad.
swimming before I came.
I feel like I got us on this sidetrack, but I was saying we're talking about inventions, and I was just talking about how Satoshi left money on the table, but that's like true of all geniuses.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just not. And like real inventions happen from people. Like real inventions don't happen through government.
Yeah.
And people.
Have you ever read AC/DC?
No.
You would love that
About
book.
the band?
No. About
Thunderstruck.
alternating current, direct current.
Oh, well, I've read a lot about Tesla.
It's about the war between Tesla and Westinghouse and Edison or whatever.
I've seen something on that. Yeah.
But it's a fantastic book. They
yeah,
tell
but
the
also
story
Da
really
Vinci.
well.
Da Vinci died poor.
Yeah.
Da Vinci didn't have a penny to his name.
No, I mean
Right.
that's the thing. If you are a true genius, you don't care about the money.
Yeah.
People will think that I'm identifying with the villain, but it's the Joker. Like it's not about the money. It's about sending.
It's about sending a message.
Yeah, like,
And it's sad to me that people, when you were talking before this about how people are like, oh, yeah, Satoshi's going to come back and spend his coin. And it's like, really? You've never met, you don't have any hippie friends?
Yeah.
Like, really, you don't know anybody?
You can't imagine somebody cares more about it than
Yeah, you can't imagine. You don't know anybody who doesn't care about money?
yeah,
Nobody?
Yeah.
Like, that's just sad to me.
And most of the time when people say that to me, I'd be like, more power to him. He deserves it. Like, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It gives us all cheap coins for like probably half a year. Like, we'll have a really nice bear market. I'll get to stack like hell. Satoshi gets his reward for making probably the most important innovation in modern history. Okay, go to town.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna cry about it. That's fantastic. He deserves it.
But that's what.
There's no reward in selling.
There is no reward in selling. I mean, I agree. What are you selling for? What's he gonna buy for?
I mean, I
what,
guess you
half
could
a
argue
trillion
whatever he
dollars now.
buys
I
is
don't
the
even know.
reward.
That's. I mean the.
He's gonna buy real estate.
My documentary that got sidetracked a little bit because I just have too much other stuff to work on.
What? What's
yeah,
that like?
It's called, yeah, I know, right? It's called Searching for Satoshi, and like I have to disclaimer everyone. I'm like, I'm not actually trying to find him because like Saifedean, I don't know if Saifedean will ever talk to me again. It did not go well at the conference. Like he sat down. And I don't think he knew what the conversation was going to be about. I thought he was prepped for it. And like, hey, this is this documentary called Searching for Satoshi. The guy that was helping us out, like, basically like the PA. Like, he's going to ask you this, this, and this, but he doesn't actually know. And I was like, so who do you think Satoshi is?
Oh, God.
And he was like, I don't want to talk about that. And I was like, it just went downhill from there. And then he left. And I was like, okay, so I don't think that went well.
I don't want to like derail your project or anything, but like to dox someone is a little bit of being a dick, and like
Could be killing them.
you could be killing a person by
no.
doxing.
So yeah, so that's
like
the point is point is that
That's how you edit the documentary.
yeah.
That's how you edit it. Not how you record it, not the conversations you have. That's how you present it when it's done.
So I did I made a little trailer for it where it was like basically the
You make it can be anyone, and then you give all the basic candidates, but you just get to tell fun stories about all of them along the way.
and my point is what the way I lay it out in the trailer, the teaser trailer, is that in 2019 when I first had the idea, I literally wanted to know who he was, and then I was like, wait a minute, no, I don't.
yeah.
And that
would be a great
I
conclusion
do
to the
not want to
documentary.
know
Is
who
that it's time?
Satoshi
Is
is.
I don't want to know.
That's,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
what, and
Definitely not.
that's the purpose of the documentary is to get
Yeah.
people from who is he? Ooh, I'm gonna like I would love. I mean, I doubt
Nobody should
Netflix
know.
would buy, but like I want people to like come in like, oh, who is Satoshi? I'd love to find out. And then if I can do my job correctly, by the end of it, they're like, he's right. I don't want to know. So that because I agree 100% with what you're saying. If you're trying to dox someone, but I like searching for Satoshi is like the way to draw in the noobs, in my opinion. But like, and also I tell people I'm like, if if we were gonna find out who he was, we would know by now. Like, it's over. And like you said, it's sad that people don't know. Like, you don't know someone that could walk away, like on principle, do something on principle. You know what I mean? Like, which is a bigger conversation about like the world we live in. Like,
fiat world has poisoned us.
Like, nobody does anything on principle. You know, nobody does anything for the right reason.
To the point that nobody believes it.
Yeah. Everything.
Well, I think people do. It's just not broadcasted, and it's on a small scale.
Yeah.
Like, you probably know somebody in your personal life, maybe, but like nobody will make the news.
Nobody's done it for $1 billion worth of something. You know.
Yeah.
As soon as you get to that level, it's just corporate.
Yeah.
It's corporate everything.
It just becomes a mess.
Fiat world.
Fiat world.
Clown world.
It's
Bitcoin fixes it.
I remember I wrote a song. I was telling you about how like writing songs for like memes. And CJ Wilson, former MLB pitcher, you know, Bitcoiner. Me and him were going back and forth writing a song about the Mad World. You know the song Tears for Fears originally, but yeah. But you know, Gary Jules made it super depressing. And we wrote like a super depressing like fiat one, and we were like, dude, I can't really.
This is rough.
This is gonna make people jump off bridges, because if you talk about the fiat world too
that song
much,
is so good, but it does make me kind of want to jump off a bridge.
yeah, it's like I don't know, but I hope you don't think that I'm trying to dox Satoshi. I don't.
Oh no! I see where you're going with it now, but I also see why Safedine had the reaction he did.
Dude, it went so poor. He like I found out afterwards, the kid that brought him up did not. We were shooting 2 documentaries, so it was like I'm gonna ask my set of questions, and the other person's gonna come in. We're change camera angle, do that. And he did not at all explain to him about this other documentary. So it went so poorly, so quickly. And I was like, I literally bailed on it because I didn't want to ruin the other documentary. Gotcha. I was like, I pulled the ripcord and I was like, it's fine. I was like, talk to him, to Pierre. Pierre was the other documentary. I was like, talk to him, please. Forget that I even mentioned anything. Daniel Prince has the greatest. He was like, I said to him it's in the teaser. I said, what do you remember when I first told you about the idea for a documentary called Searching for Satoshi? He was like, why are you doing this? The stupidest idea. You know what I mean?
I think it's not impossible. This sounds crazy right now, but I think it's not impossible that the world changes so that it's accepted that it's not cool to try to reveal the identity of somebody who wants to remain anonymous. Like, you think this is crazy, but consider Banksy.
Yep.
Like, don't you think there's a lot of people that just say, hey, it's not cool to try to reveal the identity of Banksy? Like, it's just not cool to do that. Like, I could see maybe that going mainstream.
I think that
I would hope so. That would make me happy.
My hope is that for like our kids' generation, they're gonna grow up in that world. Like, if you had a kid that's like late teens right now, like early 20s, they probably went through a really, really bad time with like privacy. But I think that pendulum's gonna swing the other direction, and that kids are gonna be like, hopefully my kids, when they grow up, it's like the cool thing is gonna be being anonymous. You know what I mean? And like I have hope for that, because like Batman, you know what I mean? Batman's the coolest superhero, and it's because nobody knows who he is. You know, every superhero other than Tony Stark, you know, like nobody knows who you are, and that there's something about that, you know.
Well, I mean, Guy Swann has this whole shadowy super coder side to him. He like everyone knows his public stuff, but he has all this private stuff he does too. Doesn't even tell anybody about.
Hey, shut your mouth.
He is the shadowy supercoder.
This is we're gonna cut this off right here. Thank you guys for coming out.
Well, we should probably wrap it up. So I'll ask, where do you guys think the price goes from here? How much do you think it's going to go up to $1 million? You can come back down to
I think one day one Bitcoin will be worth 100,000 Satoshis. I don't know when that's going to happen.
100 million?
Sorry, 100 million.
I was like 100,000. Oh my god, it's like a 1,000x plummet. This is terrible.
Good luck trying to push that through with the core devs.
I'm trying. There needs to be less Bitcoin and less UTXOs out there. We need to make it scarcer. We need to make it harder.
That sounds like a true Bitcoiner.
We're just lopping off 4 decimal places.
we need to. You know
what we pretty much have. I mean, you have to have a. You know,
You-
1,000 Satoshis to have a UTXO anyway.
That's true.
I'm going to steal that from you, and I'm going to go on Twitter and say, here's the problem with Bitcoin, and here's how to fix it. We're going to reduce the amount that exists.
We're gonna cut some decimal places.
We're going. I know that 19 million are in circulation. Let's scale that back a little bit. How's everybody feel about
Let's make it 19,000.
Hey, before we wrap up, I wanted to thank you for coming out here also. But I also wanted to answer a question from your last podcast about connecting your Bitbox to Sparrow wallet.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody asked that.
Yes, yeah.
And nobody can answer. You definitely can.
I was about to say, yeah, you can.
Yeah, so you definitely can connect the Bitbox to the Sparrow wallet. And that is important because Sparrow is the way that you get from Bitbox to your own node. You can't plug a Bitbox into your own node. You have to use one of basically 3 wallets to go from your Bitbox to your node. And that's basically Sparrow, Spectre, or Electrum.
Okay.
Well, the Bitbox app lets you connect to your own node.
Oh, Bitbox, you can't connect to your own node?
Yeah, I did that.
Directly?
I did that with mine back when I was doing
How
that
do
as my
you do
main
that?
wallet. I don't know. When you just connect over Tor, you just have an address, and I just like punch it in as an address. Like if you have like a domain.
How do you?
I had my BTC Pay server node in the cloud, so I had an address.
But so how do you get the? Let's say you sign a transaction. How do you get that signed transaction from Bitbox to your node to broadcast it?
Through the Bitbox app.
Oh, the Bitbox app.
Yeah.
Okay.
Their main, just like the wallet that they have. They have a place that you can punch in their address, and it's like the normal Bitbox node that they have, which is a public address.
You just change that to your address.
And I just changed it to mine with my port.
Okay.
And then it worked.
And do they have UTXO management in the Bitbox app?
I haven't used the Bitbox app in a while, but I'm pretty sure they did.
Okay.
I want to say they do, but again,
I've been all nunchuck lately. I love that freaking wallet.
I was like mining. I just have it all pointed, and that's I don't even buy Bitcoin on the market anymore. Like the only
it's
way
more
to
for
get it.
Dude, I really liked having like $400 or $500 worth of Bitcoin coming in every month just from heating the house, man. Like it was like nice. I know. I take that back. It was like $200 to $300.
Yeah, it was about,
Yeah. It was $400 to $500 in the batches that it would pay out because I would set my limit. But it was like $200 to $300 a month, which my electricity bill went up, but my electricity bill was comparable with the Bitcoin gap. You know, it's like $400 to $500, and it's like okay, $200 more expensive, but I got that in Bitcoin. You know, but that was a nice stack. I really hate that it got warm.
I know, and the fact that the halving kills
Yeah, the halving was a big hit.
I hated to do it, but I was like, I just gotta unplug. Like, anyone watch Silicon Valley, the show?
Oh,
Yeah.
show.
Whenever what's his name is unplugging his the servers, and he's unplugging the servers in the garage, and he's like, "Sorry, boys." At Guilfoyle, and he's like, "Sorry, boys, it's been a good run." You know, like that's how I felt with the miner. I was like, I appreciate everything you've done for me, but the halving, it doesn't make sense.
He's taking a toll.
Like,
We're not gonna come back.
like
the glory days
sudden-
are over.
Suddenly, I'm paying double for Sats. I can't do it. You know.
Man, the big thing is being able to customize the firmware. Is why I wish I had kind of gone Bitmain, because the lower power you get, the higher the efficiency by like crazy amounts.
Yep.
So if I could actually run my Watts miners on like 500 watts or 1,000 watts, just like absolute bare minimum, they get massive hash per watt.
Oh yeah.
Like huge. Like low power is by far the most efficient. And the lower power you go, the better the hash is.
But I thought the reason people normally hook it up to 240 instead of 120 was because the efficiency was greater on 240 than it was on 120 volt. Is it high?
That I don't know.
High
Maybe
voltage,
high voltage.
Low power,
Low
but
power,
high-
maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe. All I know is that everything that I have seen, and very much so with my own experience, low power is the lowest cost and highest payout.
Yep.
Wow.
That's Adam O. confirmed that for me. Like whenever I was like, oh, should I lower the power? He was like, dude, 100%. It's
Interesting.
low power mode. What's mine? Same thing. You can only go low, normal, or high.
Yeah. If I could cut that low in half, it'd be running for a lot longer.
Yeah.
Another thing about Raleigh, the BitAxe project. Have you heard about BitAxe?
No.
This guy's like reverse engineering like Bitmain miners to run on 120 volt, so you can just plug it in, and he has a super quiet thing for it. That project is being developed in Raleigh. It's pretty sweet. He's done a couple of bit devs here. We have a bit dev group here too. If any coders
I need to
are out
go
there
back to
listening.
that. I forget about that one, man.
Maybe I'll have to. So
It's here now.
I was telling my cousin who's down here, who was here earlier, and I was like, my hockey podcast, we can travel, and the Penguins play in Raleigh a couple times a year.
Go Canes.
So like I'm coming down, I'll do that here, but I mean like I got to come back here, and that would be interesting to talk BitAxe.
Yeah, let's.
Do you hockey towns like Pittsburgh just kind of like, or do you freaking North Carolina shouldn't have a hockey team? Is that how you guys think?
That's how Toronto thinks.
But that's how they think about Pittsburgh.
Yeah, exactly. But
How Toronto thinks about the United
Toronto
States.
thinks about everybody, which is why I was rooting so hard for the Florida Panthers to beat the Oilers, because I was like, oh no, Canada Stanley Cup for 31 years. They haven't won the Stanley Cup since 1993. Canada as a country,
God.
America, the USA. That's the only thing. Like I don't get super like USA. But when it comes to the Stanley Cup staying in the States, like I love the fact that there's all these Canadians and they're like, Las Vegas won a Stanley. Like in 1993, when the Montreal Canadiens won the Stanley Cup, if you went to a Canadian and said, guess what? Here's a list of cities that's going to win the Stanley Cup before you. Raleigh, North Carolina, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Miami, Florida. They'd be like, there's not even teams there. What are you talking about? Like,
That is crazy to think about.
31 years. Like, I if we can get to 100, then I'll call it. I'll be like, all right, that's good. I can let them have another one. But anyways, but the point being, if I come back here, I'd love to do that with like BitAxe and talk about that because
We'll get you together with Scott. He loves doing presentations.
cool. All right, well, thank you guys for coming. Thanks everybody who has now left because we killed the party. But
Drove him out. Well, we started late.
yeah,
We did.
and technical difficulties. But thanks again to the Bitbox O2 hardware wallet for sending me, and we'll talk to you guys later.